Hey everybody, it's Artsy Rockle, and I am doing the plus size tag today because Mary, aka Glitter Odyssey, tagged me for this. And so I really wanted to do it, and I just want to put a little disclaimer out there that I'm not trying to make this channel all about being plus size and plus size issues and that kind of thing. This is primarily a health and beauty channel, and I don't want to be what's the word? I don't want to be known as just the plus size girl. I mean, I want my channel to be broad enough to anyone can enjoy this channel. Please don't feel awkward or like, hey, did I just fall into the plus size club or something? That said, I just go ahead and go over these questions. The first question is, what do you classify yourself as? Example, curvy, fat, thick, plus size, heavy, ample, or pretty hot and tempting, PHAT. And I would say that for the most part, I classify myself as fat or plus size. I feel like fat has it's a weighted word, and maybe when I was younger it upset me, but I'm pretty comfortable with myself being a fat or plus size woman, so I mean it's not negative to me, but when people use it in a negative way toward me, it is a little upsetting, but that doesn't really happen very often. And I have noticed that if I talk about my size, or if I call myself fat or whatever, that the people around me that are my friends get uncomfortable, and it's like they're at war with themselves because they want to say, oh no, you're not fat. But I mean, come on. It's pretty obvious. I know I'm fat. You don't have to tell me that I'm not. They kind of just want to give you a big hug and be like, we love you, I love you, don't put yourself down. But that's not really what it's about for me. I'm not really putting myself down. I'm just describing myself, because if someone can be thin or skinny, then I can be fat. So it's just a descriptive word, and I think that people use it in a negative way too much. And, fat is not synonymous with lazy or all these ugly things that people seem to think that it is. So anyway, next question. What is your body shape? Example, hourglass, spoon, rectangle, triangle, pear. And then it has some descriptions of what some of the different terms mean. And I would say that I'm kind of a mix between an hourglass and an apple. So I don't know what that makes me really, but my measurements are pretty proportional from my bust and my hips, but my waist kind of comes out a little bit at its biggest point, and that's just because I'm carrying extra weight around my middle. But if I had lost that when I was younger and thinner, I was more of an hourglass shape. So, proportional, not too big in one area and small in another, just kind of straight. So I guess now I would be just a rectangle maybe. Are you comfortable and happy at your current size? What is your positive as a plus size person? No, I'm not really very comfortable right now. I'm pretty close to my all-time high of my weight, and I've been trying to lose weight and it hasn't gone that great. Things that I kind of took for granted when I was younger, like just even getting out of the bed in the morning is sometimes, I mean, there's not a day that goes by when I get out of the bed in the morning I'm thinking like, oh man, I really wish I lost all this weight. So I just think that this size right now that I am is uncomfortable for me, and I don't feel my best and I don't look my best. So I mean, I'm all for like accepting yourself and all that kind of stuff, but I'm also for being healthy, and I know that I'm not at my healthiest right now. I did go to the doctor and I got some blood work done and everything is normal, but I do feel a little shortness of breath if I'm doing any rigorous activity, and I can pretty much keep up with everybody, but even just talking like a lot in a sentence is like sometimes I need to take a deep breath. So yeah, I'm definitely not super comfortable with this size, but I'm not thinking that I'm ever going to be really thin. Like, honestly, if I was around 180 pounds, 170 pounds, I would be elated. Like, that would, to me, be, oh, I'm thin. So, and that is, I know, not, I mean, some people would still think, oh, I'm a big fat pig. But, I mean, considering where I am now, I mean, it will take a long time to get there. And I'm not exactly happy about that, but by the same token, I'm not gonna continue to beat myself up over it. What's happened has happened, and throwing myself a pity party every day is not gonna change anything. On the plus side of being overweight, I mean, I don't really know any other way, because for as long as I can remember, I've always been plus size, and had this kind of plus size mentality where, oh, no boys are gonna like me, and yada yada, and that whole thing. I think that even when I was much thinner, even when I was at 180 pounds, I had this idea that I was fat, and so that's how I perceived I was being treated, even when I was probably not really that fat. I feel like it has given me something to rest on that's not just physical, not just looks. And I guess what I'm trying to say is that some people, they don't really go beyond the surface. Like, if you're really good looking and thin and all that, you don't really, you look at someone like me and you would say, oh, that person is just, oh, I would die if that was that person, you know. And it's not really, you're not being very empathetic. And I feel like through my life experiences being this way, that I have an insight onto people, and I have more compassion on them for their shortcomings, their faults, and that kind of thing. Not just overweight, but anything. I feel like I can really go into their shoes and be like, well, how does this make them feel? How are they feeling about this? Because I know that in the past, I feel like a lot of people didn't really look at that on me, and that I was misunderstood. And so that's why I want to try to understand other people in their walk of life. I just try not to judge people. I mean, everyone does have, initial judgment. Like, you see someone, even if I see another bigger person, I might think, oh, because you're like so conditioned to think that way. But then you stop and you think about it, and you're like, why am I thinking this? Like, this is not right, and this person is probably this or that, or I can relate with that person. And it's so hard to fight, like, the societal norms and everything. So I totally get that. Would you like to lose weight, and if so, how much? What is your negative as a plus size person? So, kind of going off what I said in the last question, I would really like to be around 170, 180 pounds. I'm not going to tell you what my start weight is because I'm a little embarrassed by it. But at this point, I would just like to lose anything, really. I mean, if I never get to that goal, that's fine, but I just can't stay where I am now. And I mean, some days I feel like I can do it, I can do this. And then some days I just feel complete despair and get depressed. Get really depressed. And it's really hard sometimes to find a balance between the two of those. And I just know that I can't give up. No matter what, I always have to keep trying, because I don't want to be one of those people that are 500 pounds. I don't want to do that. And I want to be healthy. I want to have children, live a normal life. I feel like there are a lot of negatives to being a plus size person. People are always judging you. I touched on this in the last question, but people are always judging you, and I've seen a lot of anytime I see like a blog post or something in the major media about, you know, this fat person, that fat person, or whatever, and then you read the comments and they were just so mean and nasty, and I think all those people should be ashamed of themselves. Like, did your mother not teach you to be kind to others? I mean, I just don't get it. Why people think that they can just comment on other people's bodies like that. I mean, I guess we have that in common with famous people. Everyone thinks that, you know, their body is up for discussion, and they don't realize how rude and hurtful that some of the things they say are. And all the assumptions people have, like that fat people, if they go to McDonald's, order like 5 Big Macs with 5 fries and 5 sodas and eat it all up in, you know, in a half hour. There's also a problem with fitting places. And this is something that has only really affected me in the last 50 pounds or so that I have on. Sometimes you go to places and the chairs are too narrow, or the booths are really, if you sit into a booth with a table, the booth is too close to the table and you're a little cramped. I can't ride roller coasters, and, you know, sometimes I have a little bit of anxiety going to a place if I'm not sure if I'll be able to fit or participate because of my weight. And that's another reason why I live in Florida, okay, but I don't go to any of the theme parks because I feel like at my size I wouldn't be able to do anything, and I I like roller coasters and I like doing the rides. So it's my hope that I'll at least lose 50 pounds or so, then I can do those things again. And another thing is like airplanes. And I mean, I can fly. I mean, I have never been to an airplane where I have not been able to fit into the seat, but it is really cramped. And sometimes I do need a seatbelt extender. And it's really strange because some airlines, not even airlines, some airplanes, the seats are like way long on me. And then others, they're too short. And I just recently had like kind of an embarrassing experience on the airplane. Long story short, but we missed our flight, and so we had to hop on another flight that had a connection flight. So we had 2 different flights that day to get to California for my brother's wedding. And because we were just kind of last minute passengers, the only available seats were the exit aisle seats. And apparently, if you need to use a seat extender, you can't sit there. So on the first flight, the seatbelt fit fine. I was able to sit in the exit row, no problem. But on the second flight, the seatbelt was too small, and so I had the embarrassing situation where I had to tell the flight attendant, who was all in a rush and would not even listen to me. I tried flagging her down like 5 times, and finally I said, "Hey ma'am, I need a seat extender," and then she's like, "Oh, well, you can't sit there." And I'm like, "Well, no duh, I've been trying to contact you for like 5 times and you would just ignore me." So anyway, I had to end up switching seats with somebody, and I couldn't sit by my husband, and it was really embarrassing. And they did give me a free snack, but whatever, I don't know, it was embarrassing. I know airplanes are not comfortable for anybody really, but especially not for me. Another negative is finding clothing that fits, that's affordable, that's comfortable, that looks good. It has come a long way since I was a teenager, for sure. But, like, for example, we used to have the Lane Bryant in the mall over here, about 15 minutes from where I live, but now they don't. They took it out, and all I have now is the Avenue. Or I can drive 45 minutes and go to the mall that has a Torrid and a Lane Bryant, and I like those clothes better, and not so much the prices, but they can have some good sales or whatever in clearance. But it just takes so long, and it's so out of the way for me to go there that I just don't go very often. And I just don't really like the Avenue that much. The clothing is not as good quality. I do kind of like their shoes, but it's tough, and I wish I could just shop anywhere. But then you even go to some places now, some stores have plus sizes, but they only go up to like size 20 or size 22, and of course I'm size 24, sometimes a 26, and or 3X, and it's really hard to find clothes. And that's really frustrating too. And it's also hard to find like bracelets that fit my wrists, because I have, you know, pretty big wrists and big fingers. It's hard to find rings. Because I wear at least a size 9, usually a size 10 ring, and then my wrists, I don't even know how wide the wrists are, but you can see that I have pretty wide wrists. And it's always been that way. Even when I was thinner, I've always had big wrists and big fingers. So I think if I lost a lot of weight, maybe I could squeeze into a size 8 ring, but probably a 9. It's really hard too, just being a big Norwegian. I also don't really like online shopping, because when I go to a store for buying clothes, I literally try on like half the store or more to find like 3 things. So I think buying online is like trying to find a needle in the haystack. And, you know, I would probably have to order 2 different sizes on things and then return some, and it's just a big hassle. So I usually don't order anything online. What is your plus size pet peeve? The plus size women who say things like real men love curves and say really nasty things to very thin women, and I just don't think that that's any better than what other people say about fat women. I just think it's wrong to bring another woman down to make yourself feel better, and I think that's what some thinner women do to fat women, and either way it's wrong. And I think that as a woman, you know, as women, we should all love and support one another no matter what our size. And I just think it's very, hypocritical for you to complain about what other people, oh, this person said this or this person said that about fat women, blah, 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 and then go and say the same thing to skinny women. It's stupid. And it's just hurtful. And if you think that because a woman is skinny, that she has a thicker skin, then you're wrong, because you're not understanding the fact that they're women too, and they have the same feelings that you have about themselves, and they have self-confidence issues and self-esteem issues. It's not unique to just bigger women. Just show love to one another, and that's really what it comes down to. And that's why whenever I see someone say something like that, I'm just like, bugs me so bad. I guess part of it is because when I was growing up, I had a really good friend, and she was very, very thin, and she actually got more comments about like being anorexic and all this stuff. She got more negative comments about her body than I ever did, and I was fat, you know? I just thought that was so wrong, and it hurt her so bad, and I saw that firsthand, and I'm just like, this is wrong. This is wrong. We shouldn't be doing this to anyone. So, yeah, it's not okay. And then the last question, give a plus size tip. And this kind of ties in with my last answer, which is just be kind to one another, love others, and be empathetic, sympathetic, and all that. And I'll be honest, I've tried to practice that all my life. And most people that know me don't say these hurtful things. I didn't really get teased a lot as a child about my weight. I did sometimes. I mean, I'm sure that every plus size woman has gone through that if they've been fat for a very long time in their childhood and everything. But I never really did get teased that much, and I found really good friends and people that loved me, and even the popular people were always very kind to me and at least didn't pick on me or anything. So if you are kind to others, I really believe that that doesn't go unnoticed, and people will be kind back to you. And if you don't judge them, they won't judge you. And it might take a little while for that to cycle through, but you can always make the change. And Basically, don't be bitter, don't judge others, or don't do anything that you wouldn't want people to do to you. And do things that you would want people to do to you. Basically, the golden rule. So, I think if you practice that, you'll go far in life, in your relationships, in your professional relationships, and just in general. So, that's all I have for today. Anyone who is watching my channel who is a plus size woman, I tag you. So I'd love to see some of your videos. So you just leave me a video response and I'll definitely check them out. Alright, thanks guys. Bye.